Hey, good morning, everybody. Everybody's yapping and talking. I love it. Welcome to our wonderful meeting in our wonderful place in the friendliest club in 6110 Will Rogers Rotary. If you're able, if you'll stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you very much. You can have a seat. How was Mappets?
It was intense, but really fun.
Good, good. Was it Fort Smith again this year?
Yes.
Is it always there?
It's been wherever, they do it in 3-year increments.
Oh, okay.
Of course, I forgot that I was in Arkansas while I was cheering for Kansas.
Oh, no.
And then when they won, I realized I was in the really minority.
You didn't get thrown out of a bar again, did you?
What?
You didn't get thrown out of a bar again, did you?
It was just hospitality.
Oh.
You all got pretty.
It was like that.
That was a good answer.
It looked like you guys got pretty wild over there. I was worried you might end up in jail.
Our shoe donation was huge.
Yeah.
We were asked to bring 28, we took 62.
Oh, wow, 62,
And,
that was
We were
fantastic.
one of the larger ones who participated, and we told everybody that we made it fun.
Yeah,
Nobody said that they had any fun.
Buying shoes.
that was a brilliant event. We just meeting up at the Tulsa Metro place and going out to eat, that was
They were,
great.
there were over, I wanna say
3,000.
almost
3,000
shoes. And they were organizing people to carry them down to Dallas for them to then be distributed to wherever.
That
they
is
were going.
really cool.
Yeah, so we
Yeah.
appreciate everyone who participated in that.
That's wonderful, wonderful,
Those
good.
are some cute ones.
Well, do we have any announcements? I don't have my list in front of me of events coming up. Yeah, in the last email that we sent out, there's some upcoming events in there. Stan, you want to share?
Don't forget next Tuesday is school board elections. I'm not going to be at the meeting next week.
Okay.
I'm going to be working the polls, precinct 229.
Okay, super. And then I'm trying to organize our first ever polio bowl for our April 29th as a 5th Tuesday, and looking at doing a social at Andy B's bowling alley and turn it into some kind of small fundraiser to help our polio account, and invite some other clubs, and working with Susie to finalize some details on that. But that would be a fun event, and then bring like the Sunrise group and the North Tulsa group, just try to bring some groups together to bowl against each other and raise a little funds for polio.
Make it a Lebowski type of
The dude abides at the polio bowl.
That's right.
The dude abides. Do we have any birthdays or anniversaries? I'm so bad about that every time. No,
I had a
crickets
birthday last
chirping.
week.
Huh?
I had a birthday last Tuesday.
Oh, that's right. Oh, happy
Oh,
birthday.
yeah. You
Happy
weren't
birthday.
here this weekend.
Visitors?
Yes, and any visitors we have with us
Yes,
today.
we have
is that
Kelly
correct?
Campbell coming to us from Rotary Club of Tucson.
Oh, nice.
Or was it?
Welcome back.
Well, yeah, I'm back in Tulsa now.
Oh, great.
But no sooner than I moved here, I broke my ankle. And so I was down for the count for 5 months almost.
Oh, my God.
So I've only visited this club one other time, and now I'm finally getting back around to doing my thing. I know. It was not
Okay.
fun.
We are glad to have you back, and if you
Thanks.
are you official member of our club yet, or have
No.
been? We might be in contact with you about it, because we are the friendliest club in 6110.
I know, I hear that.
We do a bunch of fun stuff all the time, and we're looking forward to more adventures ahead. See, I guess we're ready to bring up our speaker. Let me pull up the bio I have right quick. All right, Ron Predl.
With an L.
With an L, got you. Ron Predl is a longtime Tulsa resident, having relocated to Tulsa from the Chicago area, where he earned undergraduate and graduate degrees in music from Northwestern University. In the fall of 1966, he joined the University of Tulsa's School of Music faculty, and his services to TU included director of bands and jazz bands, the School of Music, the School of Art, the Division of Fine and Performing Arts, the Arts Management degree program, which he designed, and professor of trumpet. to round that out.
I was there a long time.
Yeah, a long time. Retiring after 40 years of full-time teaching as an emeritus professor of music. Following his retirement from TU and after a national search, he was selected to be the first executive director of the Tulsa Symphony from 2008 to 2019. Then returned to the Symphony as executive director in 2023. Presently, he continues with the Tulsa Symphony as they look forward to celebrating their 20th anniversary next year. That's awesome. Next season. And remains active as a teaching and consulting adjunct professor at TU. Will you please join me in welcoming Ron Predl?
It's sort of a small group here. Do I need to go up there?
It's totally up to you. Stan is filming it, so it might be best to be
okay.
up there.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Well, it may not have sounded like it from your very kind introduction there, but I'm actually here to talk about Tulsa Symphony. So I've been a longtime resident of since 1966 in Tulsa, so I'm pretty familiar with the music scene. And prior to the Tulsa Symphony, there was the Tulsa Philharmonic. I don't know if people remember that. And they had some various difficulties, and in 2003, they dissolved. And so the city had no orchestra at that time. And a very enterprising neurosurgeon from Tulsa, Dr. Frank Letcher, who was also in his youth a French horn player, and very much a devotee of the orchestra, felt like this city needed to have a full-time orchestra. And so he began putting that all back together. And what came out of his efforts is this Tulsa Symphony Orchestra, which is quite different from orchestras across this country. Many of the difficulties with the Tulsa Philharmonic were just simply relationships between board members and musicians and administrative staff. They never could quite seem to be on the same page at the same time. And the musicians felt as if they were just kind of the hired help and didn't have a lot to say about how the organization was run or how the organization, what its mission should be and its vision and so forth. So based on that rather sketchy relationship, this orchestra came about with a totally different concept. It is not like the Chicago Symphony, it is not like the Wichita Symphony, it is not like the orchestras, Dallas. This is a much different orchestra because the musicians are very much involved in the governance of the orchestra. And as a result of that, of course, those of you who are familiar with orchestras, in many cases, you think of the orchestra in terms of its director, kind of the music director, the conductor being the face of that orchestra. You won't find that in this orchestra because the musicians are so involved with the actual presentation and programming of the orchestra that we only use guest conductors. They are world-class guest conductors, but we do not have a resident or a permanent or a single person that conducts us all the time. That in itself makes us very different. And so in these orchestras that have music directors and full-time conductors, that part of that job as an artistic director is to put all the programming together. That, and also to, be in charge of the quality control of the orchestra. That is, when the auditions, hiring people, so forth, letting people go, which is usually a very difficult situation, but the artistic director then is in charge of those kinds of things. And the most important thing is programming. The programming brings people through the door and keeps them coming back to your concerts. So what do we do about that? We have an artistic committee of musicians that determine what we play. And they meet almost on a weekly basis to keep scheduling ahead. Right now, we're scheduling 2 seasons ahead. And they put, some of you, if you see the programs that we'll be passing out, some of the, I probably should, please grab one and pass it down there. All those programs are designed by our musicians. And then the musicians recommend or select a guest conductor that they think would be perfect for that program. And so you see a different conductor on every program. So that in itself is extremely unusual. And the concept of musicians being that much involved in how the orchestra functions is pretty much a European idea. There are several orchestras like this just in the London area. There are a number throughout Europe, in Germany and so forth. But there isn't, and there are only a couple in this country, the Louisiana Orchestra being one of them. But so it's hard, it was hard for this orchestra, and we will be 20 years old next year. 20 years ago, during our first season, it was very difficult to know how all this was going to work. We had our vision, we had our mission, we had our bylaws, but we knew for one thing, we didn't want to develop in any way any kind of an us and them relationship between any part of this orchestra, between the staff and the orchestra musicians, between the orchestra musicians and the board, between board and staff. Everybody had to be invested in this orchestra to make it happen. And that's, but we really had no example, no mentor to go to. So lots of things have been done by trial and error to see what works. And here we are 20 years later. We seem to be doing a pretty good job of, as we say, sailing the ship while we build it. And I don't think that's ever going to end. You know, we're always going to continue to refine it, to make changes. But the point is that all these musicians, and we have the average size of the orchestra when we perform at the classic, our classic series at PAC, is about 75. But we are doing a work, for instance, at the end of next season, our 20th anniversary, the big finale to the season, which has over 100 musicians on the stage. Now, all those musicians are not available in Tulsa. So anywhere from 40 to 45% of the musicians you see on stage when you see us at the PAC are musicians who have traveled to us. And they come from as far away as New York and LA, depending on what our needs are in the orchestra. So if you look at the collective pool of musicians that we use, over this period of 20 years, it's slightly over 1,000 musicians that have played in Tulsa. And the current group is a group of about 350 that we call on a pretty regular basis. So that also gives us the advantage of not just bringing in really talented, really first-class musicians, but their backgrounds that come with them, because they've played all over the country. They've played in many cases in Europe and around the world. We're particularly proud of our conductors, who are all internationally acclaimed conductors. So they come to us with a really broad background as well. So that's a little bit about who the orchestra is, and I think that in many cases, people in Tulsa don't understand how different this orchestra is. This is a really special thing, and we've had phone calls from as far away, for instance, as Honolulu. I took one of those calls about 10 years ago. The orchestra was having all kinds of trouble. They had heard about this orchestra and how it kind of came out of a troubled orchestra. And said, how do you do this? How do you do it? Now I told them the best way to find out about this orchestra would be to fly me to Honolulu and to spend the season with them. They didn't buy that. They said, how about a Zoom call? That's what we wound up doing. But we have had inquiries over the years from other orchestras who want to know exactly how this works. It's tough, because you've got a lot of people involved in decision making. So, you know, for the most part, you make changes, especially any kind of significant change of what you're doing and how you're doing it, and you're pretty much turning a battleship. Because everybody, we don't use, for instance, parliamentary procedure. We don't use majority rules. We have a decision-making process called consensus. You may have heard of that. Where everybody gets a chance to say what they think and gets to express their opinion, and then we don't vote. We simply come to consensus that we're going to go ahead with this decision. So we don't have winners and we don't have losers, and that's important. Everybody can still be invested in the orchestra and involved and participate, knowing that whatever their concerns may have been, they have been heard, and so we go on from there. So it's a much different kind of organization, but as I say, it's working. We're finally getting out of our teenage years. We're young adults as of next year, and we're really looking forward to that. So that kind of takes us to what kind of programming do we do. The other part of the orchestra that's very different, but I will say it's kind of a national trend at this point, except we were way ahead of the trend 20 years ago. This orchestra is truly a community service organization. It's not simply a group of musicians that come together and play concerts for you and then forget about the rest of the community. We're so involved with education. We have our flagship education program is in conjunction with the Carnegie Hall. It's a program called Link Up, which is all across the country and in Europe now as well. We serve about 14 to 15,000 third, fourth, and fifth graders every year with this program. And it's going out right now. It's going out to PAC. Our last program of the season is tomorrow. No, it's Thursday morning. So we present concerts. The program, this Link Up program, is actually up in the schools. We have about 110 third, fourth, fifth grade teachers that are involved. We do the teacher training. We provide all the materials. The students study a certain topic like melody or rhythm or some other musical topic over the period of a semester. And then at the end of that semester, they all come together at either the PHC or the Broken Arrow Performing Arts Center. Jenks, we do programs out of Jenks for that community, and then in Owasso as well. So they bring the students to us. We have the orchestra on the stage. Perhaps some of you were in another community or in this community as a student, a youngster, and they would gather all the students together and they'd sit them down in the concert hall. The orchestra would play, everybody got in the bus and they went home. And it probably didn't make much of an impression on you, except it was a good way to spend the morning. It was better than being in the classroom. This is so different because these students are dealing with this subject matter and learning about music on a daily basis with their homeroom teacher or their music teacher if they have to be lucky enough to have one. So and they're also learning to play the recorder, they're learning to sing, they're learning to read music, and when they come to the concert, the culminating concert at the end of the semester, they become part of that performance. They sing with the orchestra, they play the recorders with the orchestra. Before the show starts, there are questions about all the things that they have learned. You've never seen or heard anything quite like this. And if anybody would be interested enough to want to go, you've got an invitation. Just get hold of me or get hold of Jody, and we will take you to a Link Up concert, and you will never forget it. You won't forget the noise level. But it's a wonderful experience for these kids, and it's really a meaningful experience because they participate. They're a part of it. They're not just sitting in a room listening to some music, and they're totally prepared for what they do, and they're very proud of that. So that's our most visible education program. But beyond that, and we were just talking about this with Tom, we have a program for 3-year-olds at Rosa Parks in Union. Tell you, to be very kind and candid with you, we had no idea what we were doing. We had a request from the principal to involve music somehow in a curriculum for 3 and 4-year-olds. And we really didn't know exactly what that meant. So we sent a couple of musicians, and we thought, well, let's just make this kind of an exploration or kind of just a change their environment. Put music in their environment and see what happens. Well, what's happened is a whole lot of wonderful things. And so it's about the 15th year of that program now. It was one of the first ones started. And we get calls about this as well from other orchestras who are trying to be more involved in education and ask us, what do you do and how do you do this? It's one of the few programs, and it's right here in Tulsa. So something that's happening here has become a model for other cities. We're way ahead of the curve on that one as well. So that's another thing that kind of flies under the radar. You really don't know what's going on, but we are so very much involved in education. But also the other end of the spectrum, we have a creative aging program where seniors and so forth. It takes place at retirement communities, and we bus people into our concerts. But they have the same kind of, we're actually designing a link-up program that we're doing for the kids. We're kind of doing a variation on it and redesigning it for adults. So they get the same kind of experience and the same kind of participation that they never had growing up. But they have they begin to build the background in music and have a greater appreciation for it because they understand more of what's happening and what they're listening to. So we're very involved in all those areas, different parts of the community, other than just being thought of as people who put on tuxes and play. However, we don't put on tuxes anymore. Okay? we felt like that, we kind of run that course, and it was kind of a way to kind of standoffish to the audience, because we had people coming in very casually dressed, just dressed the way we're dressed today. And to see people in a very formal way just seemed to put up a bit of a barrier. So we're very conscious of that as well. This is a community service organization. Our musicians who live here are, of course, very much part of our community. And the musicians that travel here enjoy coming to this orchestra because of their colleagues' attitude towards what they do and their investment in the orchestra because of its governance and its structure. And there's just a different attitude and a feeling to this orchestra that you won't find in many other orchestras where it's simply a job. So we think we're doing some very special things, and it's working out well for us. and if you bring to the symphony performance, well, Tom, of course. So we're going to give you the opportunity to do that today. Joe has brought some. I brought some materials too about our concert. So basically, I guess I should just run through that. We do 7 concerts, classic concerts at the PAC. Now, have none of you attended that concert we do outdoor, the free one at the Guthrie Green? All right, okay. So that's a little lighter program. We get the biggest audience that the Guthrie Green has every year. We put as many people as really could possibly fit there and still hear what's going on. So it's a little better than 4,000 people that come down for us.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It's great. It's great. I mean, they've got the dogs and the kids and the fountains are running and the band's playing, and then afterwards the orchestra's playing, and afterwards we have a big fireworks show. It's just a kind of a festival, or just a great way to celebrate the beginning of another season. And that always happens the first Friday in September. So you might want to put that on your calendars if you have not heard that. But come early.
Yeah.
If you're going downtown, parking's going to be a problem, especially if you get 4,000 people coming to the Guthrie meeting. So, and we love doing that. And that kind of kicks off our season outdoors. And then indoors, we have programming from September through May. Each month we present. We also, you may have seen the ads and the marketing for Harry Potter. We play the soundtrack while they show the movie. It's an incredible experience. If you've not seen a live soundtrack, you owe it to yourself. And we've been doing that in Harry Potter. So we've done other movies as well. So
Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones.
I went to that one.
We did the Pirates.
You know they like Warner Brothers cartoons?
Yeah, way back.
I did that one a long time ago. That was great.
Yeah. So we have a variety of things we do there. And, the people that love to go to those concerts. They don't come to the classic concerts, but they love the movies, or they love the more popular things we do. So the large orchestra pretty much involved with that, as well, of course, the link-up program, because that's a good-sized orchestra too. Then we have a smaller program, which is very informal. It's a series of only 4 concerts. It's we have moved this past year. It's been very successful. If you know that 101 Archer building, it used to be where the Arts Council was housed, and then TU bought it, and it's now just known as 101 Archer. And our program is known as 101 Unplugged. So we do a concert, very small concerts, 4 or 5 players. We have wine, we have finger food, we have a little Q&A during the program. It's just a fun evening. A woodwind quintet or a brass quintet. Whoops.
Start by people.
Sorry about that. I always tell people to turn off the phone. Yeah, well, that's the way life is.
I started.
Don't you ever, we have that series, 101 Archer, and those are 4 concerts during the year. And that will go on again next year, and that's just really a fun thing, because it's probably a subscription series, because people feel really close to the musicians, and you're sitting right next to them when they're performing, and then they stop and they say, hey, what do you want to know about the music? What do you want to know about me? What do you want to know about my instrument, how it works, and so forth. So it's just a fun evening. It's a way that you can really get to know these musicians, just as the wonderful folks they are. Takes a lot of the mystery out of what it is they do. And also you get to learn about how they got to the point that they did as professional musicians. So there's that program. What else am I forgetting? Yes, the TU. We have a series there. It's 2 chamber orchestras concerts. So chamber orchestra is in between those small chamber ensembles and the large orchestra. So it's usually a Beethoven-sized orchestra, not necessarily by Beethoven. And it's about 36, maybe 38 pieces. And we have 2 of those, 1 each semester, plus our string quintet, which is a group of 5 string players, gives a free concert there at TU. They have wonderful facilities. At Gusman Theater, they have only seat 630 people, and there's not a bad seat in the house. Wonderful sound. So that's something you might keep in mind. Plus, something that's important to everybody, close parking. Just park across the street, walk across, you're there. You don't have to wait for the valet, or you don't have to pay $10, you're there. So and those are Sunday afternoons. And they'll be this year, Sunday afternoon at 2:30, so you'll see announcements about that. So am I running way over here?
No, you're fine. I was hoping to have some time for Q&A.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's just do that. So that's about who we are.
Can you put like a face on like Rosetta? Tell about her background and where she came from.
Okay, speaking of Rosita Goza, who is just an absolutely marvelous violinist. And she is our concert master. She's our principal violinist. Pardon? Oh, I thought somebody asked me a question.
It's a weird echo through the background.
Yeah, Rosita Goza is her name. She is Eastern European. She has European training as well as this country. She is a professor of violin at the University of Texas in Amarillo. She also is a part of a string quartet there, which is 2 violins, a viola, and a cello, and they do a good deal of touring and recording. And she's our concert master. So she's here for all our classic concerts. Oh, that's what I forgot. We also have the orchestra for the Nutcracker. If you're going to Nutcracker, you're taking your kids or your grandkids to Nutcracker, we're the people you don't see in the film. But it sounds great. You don't have to see us to listen to us. Yeah, so she is our concert master and plays whenever she possibly can. There are some things she does not do with us just because her schedule is so busy. But she is an amazing musician. We just did a world premiere of a concerto for violin this last Saturday night by a Russian-born composer who lives in Denton, Texas. He is also a concert pianist. And it was a wonderful piece, and it featured Rosita as the featured soloist on this. And it was a world premiere. And the composer actually brought 2 New York critics with him to hear the concert and then take that message back to New York as well as other orchestras that might be interested in doing the piece. So that's a pretty special thing for us. It was a wonderful time.
Did they come out with reviews yet?
Pardon?
Have they come back with the reviews yet?
I haven't seen them yet.
I was amazed at
Yeah.
it. So.
Well, Tom is everywhere with us. He is visually recording everything we do, good or bad.
Ron,
Yeah.
does anybody in the symphony do composing?
Yeah.
And do you do your original stuff?
We have arrangers, composers, active musicians, yes, but we do not do our own stuff. Everything we do, now that doesn't mean we won't do it. If it's submitted to this artistic committee, our musicians who then become familiar with the piece, if it's a new piece, such as this piece that we premiered, they listen to some either electronic recordings of it, because it had not been performed by an orchestra, or they listen to piano reductions of it to understand the piece and then decide it would be good for the program. So we are open to all of that, but it does run through the committee.
Have you done any composing at all with in like the brass section or anything?
Well, I played in, especially when I was at the university, I'm a trumpet player, so we had a brass quintet, and I didn't write anything original, but I did lots of arrangements for it.
Do you have any influence? I mean, who was your, in terms of trumpet playing? Who was your, can you name some influences?
We haven't got that much time. Yeah, I mean, there's in every area. I mean, classical music, Baroque music like Maurice Andre, Wynton Marsalis is, of course, a wonderful jazz player as well as an incredible traditional trumpeter. The list is very, very long.
Now, is the string section, is it limited to violin, viola, cello, and bass? Do you ever incorporate any bass guitar or any?
Yeah, I mean, for the movies, some of the movies call for that, and we've had a couple of orchestral compositions, symphonic compositions. We wouldn't necessarily refer to them as classical pieces, but symphonic, orchestral, original pieces that we played that call for that, and a guitar. And of course, as you go back into some like the Impressionist period, and Ravel, they use saxophone in the orchestra. So yeah, we're open to any and all instrumentation as long as the piece is something that, and when we program, we think, what's our audience going to think of this? You know, is this something that's going to appeal to our audience? And if it does, the instrumentation really is secondary. The most important thing is the message that music will carry to our audience.
When y'all did the Tom and Jerry, or the Warner Brothers one
Yeah,
years
right.
ago, the highlight was all the sound effects. And so there was a couple of people out front with like sticks and chains and pieces of metal and making all the noises. It was fantastic.
Break drums.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
banging on break drums.
Ron, have y'all ever done symphonic music of bands like Pink Floyd, Moody Blues, Journey, anything like that?
Not as such. But on the other hand, we did, I was like, I think 18 or 19 that season, maybe 19, 18. We did a show with Hanson.
Oh,
It
nice.
was incredible. Of course, you know, they're just down the street. Their office is just 2 blocks from ours. If you didn't know that. They're right next to the tavern. You go that direction. So we are absolutely open to do that as well. That was great fun for us. And actually, we tried to talk them into doing that again. Because we did it for their 25th anniversary. So they said, why don't you do it for the 20th? And we couldn't get together on dates. But they were real fun to work with. If we've got the right kind of music, and the right kind of event or soloist, we're open to anything. Yes?
If you have guest musicians and guest conductors, and they're all coming in from different, how much rehearsal? How do you handle playing together?
Great question, great question. First of all, these musicians are incredibly experienced, as well as the conductors, the ones here and the ones we bring in. So if we have a concert on a Saturday night, we have a first rehearsal on a Wednesday night. Now the musicians get the music, and it makes it very easy these days, because in the old days, you have to put the music in a folder and you have to figure out how to get it to them, Now you simply put it on an email, and they download it, and they've got the music. So 2 weeks ahead of time, everybody gets the music, right? Then they show up on the Wednesday before a Saturday concert. They have Wednesday night, which is their reading room. That's when they go through everything to see just what it looks like first time through and where they're going to have to really work at things. And then Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday morning is a dress rehearsal, Saturday night is a performance.
Wow.
And the conductor comes in from Wednesday to Saturday too?
Yeah,
Okay.
and sometimes we bring them in a little bit early to go around, do some of the morning shows, things like that, and talk to the people. But and the conductor this last time came in 2 days early, just because he likes Tulsa. We also had a chance, he had a chance then to talk to Rosita, since she was the soloist. So they got together and spent time just talking about that concerto and how all that was gonna work. And so, whenever you have a featured soloist like that with the conductor, they have to really be in sync. They have to really understand how things are going to work, what the conducting technique in any particular part is, or how the tempos are gonna go. This artist may like it a little faster than the last time they did it, or in this case, hadn't done it at all. So they get together on that and they'll spend 2-3 hours at a time. Usually the conductor's just sitting at the piano and playing a reduction of the work. And the soloist is there saying, let's try this part, that part, this part, let's see what works. So there's a lot of that that goes into it behind the scenes that you never know. Yes?
How does pay work for the musicians?
How does what pay?
Pay?
Okay, we are what's called a per-service orchestra. Okay, there's like a resident orchestra where those people would be, which is considered to be, I guess, on salary. They're contracted for so many services a year. Some of those are performances, some of those rehearsals, some of those may be simply going to schools, talking. But there's a certain per-service rate, and then they agree on an annual salary for that. Whether or not they have a union, they negotiate a contract, all that stuff. In the end, they have so many services. So say they have 250 services to play. So the orchestra owns them, 250 services, and that means, you know, you're playing 8 o'clock in the morning here, and you're playing, you know, 2 o'clock in the afternoon someplace else. As long as you don't, usually the general rule is no more than 3 a day. And so you can use those services any way you like. Those people are at your disposal for a certain amount of time, which they all negotiate and agree upon. We are a per-service orchestra, which means we pay per service. Do not guarantee the number of services. So the musicians who come here sign a contract. Contracts go out April 1st. This year we've changed it, now they're gonna go out May 1st. Because our schedule with education has become so extensive and so difficult because, you know, the school schedule, you can't really book things at schools when you're coming in from the outside until you know what the regular schedule is. So we are now moving to May 1st contract deadline for our musicians because it's gonna take us an extra month to get settled with all the schools and those things. That's a big part of their contract. So they sign a contract, they have a list of all the of everything we do, and to be a full-time member of the orchestra, you must commit to 80% of those. On May 1st, for the following season, which would run September to the end of May. And so we know 80% of the positions for those, we know they're going to be filled. Now some of these people are not local people, they're from out of town. But then that's when our personnel manager goes to work and has to fill the spots with subs, other places. And that's why, as I said earlier, we wound up with 1,000 musicians over the years that we've called upon. And right now it's about 250 because you have to fill all those voids. Yeah, it's a huge job. And especially when somebody gets sick on a Tuesday night and you start on a Wednesday. Yeah, it's a scramble.
What's the
Probably got time
age
for
range?
one more question.
When do you start publicizing your series for the next year?
This year, that's Jody. That's Jody's job.
Well, this year I see, but 25, 26.
Yeah.
It's on,
Oh.
it's on, but there were only a couple.
It will be.
Oh, okay.
It will be out in the next couple of weeks.
I didn't get one.
Yeah, so traditionally, our season subscribers are loyal as patrons. There's also flex patrons that pick, 3 or 4 concerts of the classics. Those people are reserved sort of first dibs on renewing their subscriptions, meaning we have very loyalist people that are creatures of habit, that they love their seats and they want to sit in that exact seat. And they will be darned to give it up, and God bless them for it. But so we release the season to them first. This year, for going into season 20, we will release, they're released now. We will freeze those seats in our system. We work in a 2-ticketing system, quandary of Ticketmaster and something called Tessitura. These are CRMs that are specific to arts organizations. If you go to the BOK, you're buying your ticket through Ticketmaster, for example. But because we work with the PAC, we work with Ticketmaster. It's kind of forced by hand. But we will release the subscriptions and flex options and release all of the seats come May 1st. And then we will have, June 1st. June 1st. And then July 1st, you can buy single tickets on our website, should you just wish to attend any one of our concerts.
Thank you.
Or just one real quick, one word advertisement. On June 15th, which is Father's Day, we have Andrea Bocelli, the incredible Italian tenor in Tulsa, playing with the symphony at the BOK. 12,000 seats, and you need to get them as soon as you can. We've been selling them. You call our office to buy tickets, or you call the BOK.
You can't
or
call your office?
Yes.
You don't have to go through Ticketmaster?
Right. Well, you still have to pay the Ticketmaster fee.
So we had a really bad experience with Ticketmaster.
Oh,
Yeah.
well,
Bad.
we're stuck with it, but
Yeah.
we take care of that.
You'll take it, okay.
You can book it through us. We have to charge the fees, but we'll be sure that everything's
Okay.
okay.
Good deal.
So I wanted to mention that, because that's a big deal.
That's,
You know, this is gonna be the one and only for who knows how long.
And we were the only orchestra and the only artistic act of any kind to be featured on the rooftop of the BOK Center. So when they came in really big and hard. And so we had 4 or 5 musicians on the rooftop of the BOK Center with the drone footage and what have you as sort of a sizzle reel to promote Andrea Bocelli. And it was quite incredible, and I realized that I'm afraid of heights. So it was a wonderful experience.
Yeah, but it's still running online.
It's still running, yes.
on our site and Facebook site.
And we,
you see it as well.
and also over the archway of the entry of the BOK Center. So just really cool stuff. I love working with that marketing team. They're phenomenal. But the likes of large concerts, Pink, that was sold out, never did anything like that. So they really wanted to come in hard and heavy, and so we look forward to that being a sold out performance. So.
I've already bought my tickets.
Yeah.
And it was still, I mean, the really good seats were gone,
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first week, we were just swamped.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
I've done way too much talking, so Jody, from here on out, you can give stuff away.
Oh, yeah.
We've got a couple of things. I was gonna ask you to draw our 50-50 drawing right quick, and Jody, if I can have you come up and,
Oh, yeah.
I haven't told what everybody these things are.
Anything you want.
Just one ticket and the last 3 numbers on each of them. There you go.
It's a 389.
389.
Came after me.
Peter?
Ah, Peter.
Peter.
Congratulations.
Right.
And then I'll let you explain what you have in your hands for everyone.
So I will have a one-sheeter of our season 20, which is our next season, but we're still in season 19, which ends in May. So I have included the programming for this current season, and in each of these are 2 complimentary tickets to the rest of the season. So feel free to take these and however many you wish to share with family and friends, but we would love to invite you as our guests for the remaining season and hope to see you for season 20. So
And
Wonderful.
if you
Thank you guys so
can't use the tickets, pass them on someone who will.
Yes.
I appreciate that.
That's super.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Wow, thank you.
Yeah. We'll set those up there. Thank you. All right. And if you will all stand for our 4-way test, I'll wrap up. Everybody twist around a little bit. All right. Is it the truth?
Truth. Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
And will it be fun? All right.
Just
Thank you guys so
described a
much.
concert with the Tulsa Symphony.
Yeah. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. There we go. Officially over. Yes, please.